Meanwhile, amid the ongoing Mueller investigation, the calls for impeachment of President Trump continue from some Democrats should they win control in the midterms. But Obama Defense Secretary Leon Panetta is saying that Democrats should wait.
I think the most important thing that the Democrats could do is to allow Bob Mueller to complete his work. I think Bob Mueller's report will ultimately determine whether or not there are going to be additional steps taken against the president.
Joining me now, commentary writer for the Washington Examiner, Philip Wegman. Philip, good to see you laboring on Labor Day.
Good to see you too, Ebony.
Okay, so we hear from Panetta there. He's basically saying, chill out and really wait for the process to complete itself. But we know that there are many high-profile Democrats that are indeed running on impeachment, with that being at the top of their to-do list when and if they get to Washington. Do you think that those Democrats, Philip, could be putting themselves in a bit of a self-induced problem area by getting in front of, as Panetta is talking about here, the Mueller report itself?
I certainly do, because while impeachment talk is definitely sexy, it's fundamentally dangerous for Democrats, because right now the left has never been more motivated to go to the polls. If you start talking about impeachment, about kicking the president out of office, that gives the right another reason to show up on Election Day. So if you're Donald Trump or you're any of those 237 Republicans in the House, you have got to hope that Democrats don't stop talking about impeachment between now and November.
Yeah, certainly adding fuel to the Republican base. Let me ask you a more policy-based question. What do you think it says about the Democrats that are running on impeachment towards those midterms, that they're running on impeachment and not, say, an economic message, say, not a national security message or something that's more policy-based? What kind of commentary do you think that is on their political strength or weakness?
Well, I think it's more of a commentary on their geography. You see a lot of people who are pro-impeachment in blue states, not red states right now, and I think that this is very interesting. And Leon Panetta and Nancy Pelosi, they're urging their members not to go full Maxine Waters here, because they know that on top of the detrimental political effect, they know that Democrats don't have a ready-made case for impeachment yet. I mean, what are they going to impeach Trump over? Is it going to be Russian collusion? Is it going to be obstruction of justice? Is it going to be a violation of campaign finance law? They don't have their frontal assault put together for when they do want to go forward with impeachment, if they do. And so right now, it just seems too early and too risky.
So let's pivot to Rudy Giuliani. The president's lawyer, rather, has been very vocal, doing a lot of interviews, one of which with the Daily Beast this past week, where he spoke about a counter report that the White House is reportedly planning, as we speak, to get in front of the Mueller investigation. And Panetta said that he was warning Rudy Giuliani, basically, to be careful to not get too close to obstruction of justice. And what he's talking about there, of course, is this kind of stated purpose from Rudy Giuliani that the counter report is to undermine the credibility of the Mueller report. Philip, I want to ask you, is it possible that that strategy, if indeed is true as being reported, could backfire on the White House and Rudy Giuliani? Because what if, I'm just saying what if, because none of us know what's actually in the Mueller report, what if it exonerates the president, and thus you've got a situation where the credibility of Mueller's already been jeopardized?
Well, first of all, Robert Mueller is the one man in Washington who doesn't leak. His team has been incredibly tight-lipped, so it's going to be fascinating to see what we finally find out when they do present their findings. But so I do think it's interesting that you have Giuliani going out there trying to undermine the special counsel from the beginning. That much is very clear. And so I think that if you're a Democrat, you ought to just be prudent here and keep your powder dry, because there's a lot of smoke around this administration. We don't know what is out there just yet. And the worst thing that Democrats could do for themselves, if they do end up taking the majority in the House, is paint themselves into a corner on the campaign trail, and then on day one, before all the evidence has been gathered and before they have an opportunity at impeachment, to be in a position where their base is demanding it.
All right, Philip, you're suggesting prudence from the Democrats. I'll ask you a final question. Do you suggest that same prudence for the White House here? Would you say that they should be prudent as well and wait for the Mueller report, or do you think they should move forward in advance of that with this counter report?
Absolutely. Law and order is the most important thing when it comes to democratic republics. Robert Mueller is doing his job right now. The president took an oath to defend and uphold the U.S. Constitution, and I think that the prudent thing to do from the White House would say that I'm going to defend and uphold that Constitution by letting Robert Mueller do his job. So far, we've seen a lot of cooperation. So a lot of cooperation on the details, but, you know, some sword rattling publicly from Giuliani. It seems like this White House, just like Democrats, needs to come up with a cohesive strategy.
All right, Philip Wegman from the Washington Examiner. Enjoy your day. Thanks, Philip.
Thank you, Ebony.
All right.